Hey, my name is Robin Tanner. Welcome back to the Daily Fight. This entire week, I am devoting to a pre-recorded series that I did several months ago for clients called the F-Bombs, Fudging Up Your Future Self. And it's basically wrapping around the ideas of 16 hidden secret ways that you might be sabotaging without even knowing it your future self, meaning just your thought process, your perspective on these 16 different avenues in life that might be hindering you from moving forward, from taking action, from getting off the edge of whatever it is that you're on. And I get them because I've been there, done that, got that t-shirt multiple times through all of them, and I still struggle with several of them. And we also cycle through depending on where we're at and on what stage that we're at in our fight. So you can apply these principles and these perspectives, all 16 of them, through any area of your life. Physically, it could be with your health, through the way that you are living, through your job, professionally. It could be in your relationships or socially. It could just be with your relationship with yourself and your attitudes and your ideas. So it's really designed to just help you think differently, open up some walls that you might have up to armor you from stepping forward, because you might be scared, or you might feel guilty about it, or you might feel shame wrapped around whatever it is that you want or you desire or that you want to release and let go of. So I hope this week that you tune in. I'll be breaking it up into 5 parts starting today. So just tune back every single day to catch all of the F-bombs that might be fudging up your future self. I hope you enjoy.
All right, you made it back for day 2, set 2. Think yesterday, your faith, your fear, your fortitude, and your forgiveness was a foundational course. Like going to the gym, you have an orientation day. Your first day at work, right? It's an orientation day. It's a learning day. So today, we're going straight for the heart, for the heat, for the passion, for the fire. This is your internal motivation, your passion, your aliveness. And I'm going to drop 4 new F-bombs. So go ahead, put me in your ear. Let's go for a walk together. Get back on that treadmill, go outside in nature, or start taking down some notes. And I want you to jot these first 4 down. Your fire, your fuel, your focus, and your fight. Can you already tell I'm excited about this one? We're just going to dive right in. But I do hope that yesterday, maybe you got slapped around a little bit. Maybe you got some gut punches. I want to know that you did your homework. I want to know what ones resonated with you. And if you already had some aha moments that were like, oh, all right, I didn't realize I was doing that, or that's a new idea or a new thought process that I'm going to spend some more time sitting in, because that's what you do here. That's what growth is, and self-awareness and self-discovery. And that's when you look back and you see the growth. It's like hopping on the scale after one workout and expecting to have already lost 5 pounds. Often this inner work, this inner fitness, they're intangible, but you look back at your old self when you're questioning that current self, and you see the patience you developed. You see the belief in yourself. You see yourself taking risks. You see yourself holding your tongue, right? And not lashing out. You see yourself conquering those emotions. You see yourself taking action and developing your dreams and your ideas. You see yourself leading better at work. You see yourself delegating more. You start to see those things that I wish I could package them up in a gift box and hand them to you with a bow. But those are the things that you start to witness, and it's an amazing transformation. So let's start with this F-bomb, your fire. Your fire, this is your passion. This is me right now. You're probably going to hear my cat in a second start meowing. What are you alive about? Are you missing passion and enthusiasm in your life? Are you waking up in like a dead-end, energy-sucking job? Are you in a lifeless marriage or in a relationship that is so unhealthy you need to exit? Where is the passion? What excites you? What's going to drive you? What's going to keep that fortitude in you that's going to keep you going? Now, this could be something that is a rant for you. I can't stand line cutters. This is something I'm very passionate about. Why? Because it's lazy, because it's entitled. They think they're better than the people that got up early, that are standing in line, that are being patient, that are paying their dues. I like people that pay their dues. I'm very passionate about that. I'm a horn honker. Are you a horn honker? I speak my mind. I alert to danger. I let somebody know that is not okay, or hey, go, pay attention. You got to know what sets you up. And sometimes those are the things that you rant about. You might need to look into your pet peeves. You might need to look into the things that you're judging. These are the things that fire you up, the good, the bad, the ugly, because you can channel that passion into a positive way. By me being a horn honker and speaking up to line cutters, I teach you how to communicate, how to speak up for yourself, because you're not just speaking up for yourself, you're speaking up for everybody else behind you. But that's what I'm passionate about. I'm also passionate about you not abandoning your dreams, because I grew up in an environment where everybody abandoned their dreams. Everybody settled. Everybody chose to suffer. Everybody chose to give up. So it's very, very important to me. I'm very alive and passionate about helping people do their dream. Living alive, being passionate, having energy and aliveness. Now that doesn't mean that your fire gets dulled, that people rain on your parade. That it doesn't mean that you're going to go without challenges and battles and hard days and hiccups. You will. In fact, the more passionate you are and the more momentum you get, probably the more they're trying to dim the spark and the flame inside of you. So take a look at your fire. Do you need some? Is this one of the F-bombs in your life that is fudging up your future self? Next F-bomb I'm dropping is your fuel. Now this goes way beyond your food, your nutrition, your working out, your exercise. All right, let's just assume that you're doing that. And if you're not, here's the easiest way to do. Don't eat like a jerk. Stop doing stupid shit and get your body moving every day. You will be so much happier. The people around you will be so much happier, because when you put shit in, you get shit out. It's really that simple. Your fuel here is going to energize those passions, that aliveness. But it does go deeper than the food. What are you listening to? What are you scrolling? What are you judging? What are you comparing yourself to? What's the environment that you're in? The job that you're in, those connections, the people that you're around, all of that, what you are consuming, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're feeling, what you're not feeling, what you're not hearing. It could be the lack, that you're not getting your words of affirmation, that you're not getting affection, that you're not getting attention, that you don't feel desirable. Those are things that fuel you or don't. And if you don't have the proper fuel, how are you going to fight for your future self? How are you even going to believe in your future self? And how are you going to have fortitude to keep going and give up when you're not getting wins, when you're not getting milestones, when you don't have anything pouring into you? And if you're the person that is always pouring into somebody else, stop it. Because if your tank is empty, you've got nothing to give. So you've got to find out and inventory what your fuel is. A good place to look here is your knowledge. Are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? And then on the flip side, are we consuming too much? Are we hoarding so much information? There's only so much you can get from a podcast or a book, right? There's only so much knowledge and so much motivation, but you actually have to apply it. And in order to absorb the knowledge, apply the knowledge, execute the knowledge, and turn it into wisdom, you got to put it out there in the world. You got to share it with others. You have to teach it to others. You have to lead by example. These are all the things that are fueling you. And it's no different than eating too much and overeating. If you're binging on knowledge and information, if you're binging on Googling, if you're binging on scrolling, good, bad, or ugly, even if it's for something positive, and you have too many ideas and too many things that you want to do, and you don't know how to narrow that focus, you've got to go back to the fire, to the passion, to what lights you up. You got to go back to what will you honk your horn for? What will make you stand up and go to the line cutter and say, hey, no more. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to everybody else. This is important to me. This is what matters. This is how I want to have a voice and make a difference. These are the things that fire you up. These are the things that will teach you and are giving you little hints and pieces of who your future self is meant to be, no matter what stage of life you're in. Starting over, starting new, it doesn't matter. Overcoming in the middle of a battle. What's the fuel that you're consuming? Is it healthy for you? Does it fire you up with enthusiasm, or is it draining you? Are you hoarding it? Are you consuming too much without actually applying and executing? And by continuing to ignore this fuel, the wrong fuel, too much fuel, it's going to limit your abilities. It's going to neglect your mental bandwidth, your emotional wherewithal, your spiritual capacity to believe in yourself, because sometimes we have too much information, we shut down, right? Analysis paralysis, overwhelm, the octopus arms pulling us in 8 different directions, and we don't know where to go. We don't know what to focus. We don't know what that future self, which path we're going to see it at the end of, because we've got too many things going on. One of the best ways, one of the best exercises for this one is to purge. Go clean out your house. Go organize. Get your office space cleaned up. See what's left at the end. That's what fires you up. That's where your good fuel is coming from. Who are the people that are striving? Are you in room with women that are like-minded? Or are they whiny? Are they playing the victim card? Are they gossiping? Are they venting? Is it the same story over and over again? Are they just sitting on the couch watching TV? Are they just scrolling on their phone? Are they talking about the same idea over and over again, but they're never doing anything about it? Are they still trying to lose the same 20 pounds? Look at the fuel. Your people is your fuel. Your environment is your fuel. Your passion, your fire, all of those things, they sound really, really similar. But there's a sliver of a difference that matters a whole lot. So I want you to think about that, those two F-bombs, because the next one is your focus. And your focus is a Mac Daddy. Now, I'm a reformed squirrel. I am literally that person with the 21 tabs open on my computer. I've got 50 journals. I've had every planner, every organizer, every gel pen, every sticker, every highlighter, bouncing around from idea to idea. Used to think that multitasking was a thing. Trained myself to go, and be able to just bounce around and be gritty and plant a bunch of different seeds. But the problem was nothing was growing. Nothing was getting finished. And guess what that leaves you feeling like at the end of the day? Like a failure. What I didn't do is where I was focusing. The overwhelm of all of the projects, all of the ideas, all of the diet plans. Been there, done that, got that t-shirt. But from one reformed squirrel, and hopefully you aren't one, but if focus is one of your F-bombs, that you don't know where to focus, the key here is to looking at where your F-bombs are. So by the end of this, you'll know which F-bombs you really need to focus in on, and you'll start with one. But here's what happens with focus. You want to ask yourself, are you focusing on the future, on your future self, what your future self would do, what your future life looks like? You got to create that. Or are you focused on the why, what shoulda, woulda, coulda, used to be? Where's your focus at? Because it is in one place or the other. And sometimes we get caught up too much in the future. We're not talking about chasing it all the time and wishing that we were there and caught up in the why am I not there yet? But if you don't have that crystal clear vision of what would your future self do? How does she act? What characteristics does she embody? What is she focusing on? What would she do today when she were to wake up? What would she do in this problem? What decision would she make? Would she invest in this? Would this help her development, her freedom, her peace, her badassness, her boldness, her courage, her mental health, her physical health? Would this help her body, her standards, her boundaries? Or are you focused on punishing yourself? Are you focused on all of the things that you're not doing yet? All of the things that you wish you should be doing, but instead guilt and shame are holding you back? Where's your focus? Because that determines where you go next. And it's often where we get lost, right here in the focus. So be careful, because it's really important. You want to focus on what matters most. You want to focus on your badass zones. You want to focus on the good. It doesn't mean that you don't recognize the problems and create solutions, but you always focus on the solution, not the problem. And again, I'm not going to give too much coaching into this, but I just want to bring awareness. Where's your focus? And how can you redirect it? Because your focus is going to determine whether or not you make it to your future self. It's going to determine if you advance in your career. It's going to determine if you go on the trip and you actually see the Grand Canyon or Ireland. It's going to determine whether or not your marriage doesn't just survive, but it thrives. It's going to determine whether or not you create millions of dollars in your business. Your focus determines your peace for the day, your progress for the day. And here's the thing with your focus. Your focus is going to determine your fight, which is the fourth F-bomb today. Your fight. And this is probably one of my most favorite ones, right? Because I'm a fighter. I'm a warrior. I'm an overcomer. I'm resilient. This is what I teach people to do, right? Speak up for yourself. Stand up for yourself. Create those boundaries and those standards that uphold and armor you against the emotions and the rapid fire that's coming at you to pull you backwards. Because there's a fight out there for your life. And you're either fighting for the old one, which you will never get back, nor do you want it. You think you do, but you don't. You're fighting to stay the same and just hold your head above water, and you're out there treading, but you're really drowning. And if you just took one more step into the deep, you'd have peace and calm, and you'd have a break and a breath to know where to put your energy and your focus so that you can fight for the things that matter most to you. Your fight is so important. Your ability to to know what you need and want and to speak up for that and to communicate it in one swoop instead of an essay explanation that takes 3 or 4 days to you to get it out. Or you keep having that same conversation over and over again with somebody, maybe your husband or your friend or your kids, because you're not really communicating what it is that you want. You're afraid of the fight. You're afraid of the burden. You think you should grin and bear it. You think because you're a fighter, you need to have a tough exterior. Strong is not the only feeling. Grinning and bear it does nothing but harbor resentment and bitterness on the inside. And who takes the brunt of that? You're fighting with yourself. The war within needs to be won for your future self. And part of fighting for your future self is keeping integrity, is keeping promises with yourself. So if you're on that yo-yo cycle, right? You're still procrastinating on the same projects because you think you're a badass because when your back is up against the wall, you always come through. That you have this black and white mentality, this life and death mentality, this all or nothing mentality. And you're great at the end. You always overcome. You always come through. The problem is that fight leads to burnout and you're exhausted and you're tired at the end of the day and you're wondering why you're crashing for days. You know, there's a reason why when in a boxing match, there's 9 rounds and they go for 3 minutes and then they have breaks in between rounds. You got to learn how to pace yourself. You have to learn to know which battles that you're fighting, which ones are important. Sometimes you're taking on other people's battles that are not yours. And that can include your kids and your husband and your colleagues at work or your teammates or your neighbors or the people at church and the people that you love. But this is when you decide, what are you fighting for? What's important to you? And how can you show up differently? How can you fight differently? Sometimes for me right now, that is learning to be calm, learning to slow down, learning to take more rest, learning to not go 1,000 miles per hour for 3 or 4 days and then crash for 3 or 4 days. That's a fight for me. Learning not to work out with such intensity anymore and try new classes like Pilates or bar and yoga and more stretching in my life. So keeping an open mind that the fight isn't always this and beating your head against the wall or getting mad and angry. It is actually channeling that fire and that fuel and your focus on the fight for your future self, on making the dream happen, on scheduling the vacations, on leaving the space in your calendar so that you're not overwhelmed and overworking and escaping and using those as coping mechanisms instead of facing things head on. This is rising above your challenges. These are your fights. Which ones are most important to you? Which ones matter to your future self? And one of the last ones I'll leave you with is permission. You are not fighting your own fights. You're not fighting for your future self. If you are waiting on somebody else, if you are asking permission or seeking outside validation, you're waiting on somebody else to live your life, to give you permission, to schedule it, to book it, to invest in it, to spend the money, to go to the gym. You don't need anybody else but yourself. Now, a coach and a guide, hi, hello, obviously, is going to get you there faster and more efficiently and have eyes on you because we see things you don't see and we've already made all the goof ups for you. But if you're waiting on people in your life to give you permission to fight, to stand up for yourself, to do your dreams, to speak about your desires, to make them happen, to spend time on them, to invest in them, to test them out, to try them out, you got to reset that focus. All right, so let's wrap this up to finish out set 2, which is your passion and your motivation. You've got your 4 F-bombs, which is your fire, your fuel, your focus, and your fight. That fire, that passion, that aliveness, that enthusiasm, where is it? When was the last time you saw it? The fuel, what are you consuming? What do you have your eyes on? Where's your concentration? That's your focus. Is it on the past? It is in the what hasn't happened yet, in the shoulda, woulda, couldas, or in that gap of where you're not yet. And that fight. Are you standing up for yourself? Are you holding steady? Are you following through on the things that you said that you were going to do? Are you speaking your mind with truth, with authenticity, with courage? Or are you letting them fall wayside? Now, you may come up with a definition that's a little bit more aligned for your future self, and that's cool. In fact, that's what I encourage you to do. But it's in your ability to receive this information, to receive a different or a new perspective, to think differently, to challenge yourself so that you reach your future self. You can armor yourself with these F-bombs. You can use them to fight, or they can keep fudging you up. Now, tomorrow, I've got set 3, which is going to go more into your self-care and your well-being, but they're not what you think they are. So we've got 4 more F-bombs dropping tomorrow. Download the one-page worksheet, do the work, do the inner fitness. Without that, this isn't going to come to life. It's not going to be alive. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be draining. And it's possible to do it a different way, but you got to fight for it. I'll see you on the other side.